For friends Emma, Ryan, Lily, and Tom decided to spend a weekend exploring an old mansion on the outskirts of town. The mansion had a dark history, rumored to be haunted by the spirits of its former inhabitants. Despite warnings from locals, they were drawn to uncover its secrets. They arrived on a cloudy afternoon, the mansion looming before them with its grand but deteriorating facade. Ivy crawled up the walls, and broken windows stared like empty eyes. A cold breeze stirred the overgrown garden, whispering through the trees. They cautiously entered the mansion, their footsteps echoing in the dusty halls lined with portraits of stern-faced ancestors. Cobwebs draped the chandeliers, and the air was heavy with the scent of age and neglect. Sunlight filtered through stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the faded wallpaper. They explored the ground floor first, finding old furniture draped in white sheets and abandoned belongings strewn across the rooms. In the library, Ryan discovered a diary hidden in a dusty drawer, its pages filled with cryptic writings about voices in the walls and restless spirits. That night, as they gathered in the grand hall to read the diary by candlelight, a strange phenomenon occurred. Whispers echoed through the mansion, faint, yet distinct, as if the walls themselves were speaking secrets. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their senses on high alert. The candles flickered ominously, casting dancing shadows that seemed to take on a life of their own. Lily swore she saw figures moving in the periphery of her vision, vanishing whenever she turned to look. Unease settled over them like a heavy blanket. As midnight approached, the mansion seemed to come alive with unseen forces. Doors creaked open on their own, and cold drafts swept through the corridors. Lily woke in the early hours to find herself surrounded by an icy mist that whispered unintelligible words in her ear. She stumbled out of bed, following the whispers down winding corridors and up dusty staircases. The mansion's layout seemed to shift, leading her deeper into its labyrinthine depths. The whispers grew louder, their words twisting and warping into threats and pleas. Driven by an otherworldly compulsion, Lily discovered a hidden chamber deep within the mansion. The chamber was adorned with arcane symbols etched into the walls, and a flickering candle illuminated an ancient tome lying open on a dusty pedestal. As she approached, the candle flame flickered wildly, casting long shadows that danced eerily on the walls. The air grew thick with an oppressive energy, and Lily felt as if unseen eyes were watching her every move. She knew then that she had stumbled upon something forbidden and dangerous. Driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, Lily decided to perform a ritual described in the ancient tome, a desperate attempt to communicate with the spirits haunting the mansion. She gathered the others, explaining her plan as they exchanged worried glances. They formed a circle around the symbols, candles casting flickering light on their faces. Lily began to chant in a language long forgotten, her voice trembling with uncertainty. The mansion seemed to hold its breath, anticipation hanging in the air like a thick fog. With each word of the chant, the mansion shook violently, as if protesting against the intrusion. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on sinister shapes that lunged at them from the darkness. The air crackled with malevolent energy, and the candles burned with an unnatural intensity. A piercing scream echoed through the mansion, followed by a chorus of agonized cries. The spirits, angered by the intrusion, manifested before them a horde of twisted forms with hollow eyes and elongated limbs. Fear gripped their hearts as they realized the ritual had unleashed a terror beyond their wildest nightmares. With no time to spare, they fled the chamber, pursued by the vengeful spirits. Doors slammed shut behind them, and the mansion's layout seemed to shift, disorienting and trapping them within its malevolent grip. They raced through dark corridors and up winding staircases, their breaths labored and hearts pounding. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, Emma found a forgotten staircase leading to the attic. They ascended hastily, barricading the door behind them as the spirits banged and wailed outside. Exhausted and trembling, they huddled together in the attic's dusty darkness, hoping to survive until dawn. As dawn broke over the horizon, the mansion fell silent. The spirits, appeased by their escape, retreated into the shadows, The friends cautiously emerged from the attic, their bodies weary and minds haunted by the night's horrors. They hurriedly left the mansion behind, vowing never to return. As they glanced back one last time, they saw the mansion standing silent and brooding against the sunrise. They knew they had faced true terror and survived an experience that would haunt them forever. The old Ravenwood Manor stood on the edge of a dark forest, abandoned and decaying. Its broken windows and creaking doors whispered secrets of a grim past. The moon cast an eerie glow on the overgrown garden, where weeds grew wild and untamed. A group of 5 friends, eager for adventure, gathered at the edge of the forest. Jack, the fearless leader, challenged the others to spend the night in the haunted house. Nervous but excited, they accepted, carrying flashlights and backpacks. The heavy front door creaked open, revealing a dark, dusty hallway. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and the air was thick with the smell of mold. The friends stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The group split up to explore. In the dim light, they found a grand but decayed living room, a library filled with ancient books, and a kitchen where old utensils lay scattered. Strange noises echoed from the walls. In the library, Emma found a hidden door behind a bookshelf. With a push, it opened to reveal a small, dark room. Inside, they found old photographs and a diary that spoke of a family tragedy and an unsolved mystery. As night fell, strange things began to happen. Doors slammed shut, whispers filled the air, and ghostly figures appeared in the corners of their vision. Fear gripped the friends as they realized they were not alone. Desperate for answers, the friends decided to hold a seance. They gathered in a circle, holding hands, and called out to the spirits. The room grew cold, and a ghostly presence made itself known, revealing the manor's dark secret. The spirit of a young girl appeared, her face sad and eyes hollow. She told them of the horrific events that took place in the manor years ago, her family's murder and her own untimely death. She begged for their help to find peace. Determined to help, the friends searched the manor for clues. They discovered hidden letters and a secret passage leading to the basement, where they found evidence of the family's tragic end. The pieces of the puzzle finally fit together. In the basement, they confronted the malevolent spirit responsible for the murders. With the young girl's guidance, they performed a ritual to banish the evil entity. The air crackled with energy as the spirit fought back. The ritual succeeded, and the evil spirit was vanquished. Exhausted but relieved, the friends made their way out of the manor as dawn broke. The young girl's spirit thanked them before fading away, leaving the house peaceful at last. Back in the safety of their homes, the friends reflected on their harrowing night. They vowed never to return to Ravenwood Manor, but felt a sense of closure knowing they had helped a lost soul find peace. Deep in the heart of Whispering Pines Forest stood an old cabin, withered and forgotten. The trees around it seemed to whisper secrets among their branches, and the air was heavy with a sense of foreboding. A group of friends, Sarah, Mark, Lisa, and Alex, arrived at the cabin for a weekend getaway. They had heard tales of strange occurrences in the woods but brushed them off as local folklore. Little did they know, the cabin held darker secrets than they could imagine. As night fell, the friends explored the cabin. Strange decorations adorned the walls, creepy masks and faded portraits of unknown figures. The air inside felt colder, and shadows danced ominously in the dim candlelight, hinting at a presence that watched their every move. Curiosity led them to the basement, where the air grew thick with dust and the scent of decay. Among forgotten relics and cobwebs, they found an old chest sealed with intricate carvings, a relic from a time long past that seemed to pulse with an unsettling energy. As the night wore on, each friend began experiencing vivid hallucinations. Sarah saw ghostly figures reflected in mirrors. Mark heard whispering voices from dark corners. Lisa felt icy fingers trailing down her spine. And Alex saw his own distorted reflection contorting with malevolent intent. Behind a hidden bookshelf, they discovered a secret room. The walls were covered in arcane symbols, and shelves held ancient occult books filled with forbidden knowledge. It became clear that the cabin was not just abandoned, it had been a site of dark rituals and unspeakable acts. In the attic, a malevolent presence made itself known. Cold drafts chilled the air, and whispers echoed through the rafters, urging the friends to leave before it was too late. They realized they had awakened something ancient and vengeful, trapped within the cabin's walls. Fear gripped their hearts as paranoia set in. They turned on each other, each blaming the others for their plight. The cabin seemed to feed on their fear, amplifying their darkest emotions until they were consumed by madness. As the night reached its climax, the friends confronted the entity together. With trembling hands and hearts pounding, they stood united against a swirling vortex of darkness that threatened to devour them whole. In that moment of unity, they found the courage to fight back against the malevolent force. Ravenwood Manor stood isolated at the edge of a dark forest, its decaying structure shrouded in an air of menace. The moonlight barely penetrated the dense canopy, casting eerie shadows over the crumbling walls and broken windows. The overgrown garden was a tangled mess of weeds and thorns, whispering secrets of the past with every gust of wind. The manor had been abandoned for decades, its history filled with stories of tragedy and unexplained events that kept people away. A group of 5 friends stood at the edge of the forest, daring each other to spend the night in the infamous Ravenwood Manor. Jack, the boldest among them, led the challenge with a confident grin. Despite their nervousness, the group accepted, armed with flashlights, sleeping bags, and snacks. They laughed and joked to mask their fear, unaware of the terror awaiting them inside the manor. The thrill of the dare and the mystery of the haunted house were too enticing to resist. The manor's front door creaked loudly as they pushed it open, revealing a dark, dusty hallway. The air was thick with the smell of mold and decay, and cobwebs adorned the corners like ghostly decorations. Their footsteps echoed ominously as they ventured inside, the beam of their flashlights slicing through the darkness. The old wooden floors groaned under their weight, and the cold air sent shivers down their spines. They could feel an unseen presence watching them from the shadows. The friends decided to split up and explore the ground floor. Jack and Emma wandered into a grand, but decayed living room, where tattered furniture lay in disarray and a large, dusty chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling. Sam and Lily found an old library, the shelves lined with dusty, ancient books and strange artifacts. Meanwhile, Mike discovered a kitchen filled with rusty utensils and a pantry door that creaked open on its own, revealing shelves covered in cobwebs. Strange, unexplainable noises echoed through the manor, making their hearts race. Emma stumbled upon a hidden door behind a bookshelf in the library. With a cautious push, it opened to reveal a small, dark room filled with old photographs and a diary. The photographs depicted a once happy family whose faces gradually turned somber in each successive picture. The diary's pages detailed a family tragedy and an unsolved mystery, including entries about strange occurrences and ominous warnings. Emma called the others, and they gathered to read the chilling account, sending shivers down their spines. As night fell, the manor came alive with supernatural activity. Doors slammed shut on their own, eerie whispers filled the air, and ghostly figures flitted at the edge of their vision. The temperature dropped suddenly, and their breath became visible in the freezing air. The friends huddled together, their fear growing as they realized they were not alone in the manor. Objects moved on their own, and faint footsteps echoed in the halls. Panic began to set in as the reality of their situation became undeniable. In a desperate bid for answers, the friends decided to hold a séance. They sat in a circle in the library, holding hands, and called out to the spirits of Ravenwood Manor. The room grew cold, and a ghostly presence began to materialize, revealing the manor's dark secrets. The candles they lit flickered violently, and the air buzzed with energy. They felt a heavy, oppressive force pressing down on them as they chanted, their voices trembling with fear. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and dread. Vinbin MCC Hun, a spectral figure of a young girl, appeared before them, her face a mask of sorrow. She recounted the horrific events that led to her family's murder and her own untimely death. The friends listened in shock as she pleaded for their help to find peace and end the manor's curse. Her voice was soft and echoing, filled with pain and desperation. Tears streamed down her ghostly cheeks as she pointed towards the basement, indicating where the truth lay buried. The friends felt a mix of fear and compassion. Determined to help, the friends scoured the manor for more clues. They found hidden letters and a secret passage that led to the basement. In the dimly lit basement, they uncovered evidence of the family's tragic end, including old newspaper clippings, blood-stained clothing, and a locket with the girl's picture. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the oppressive weight of past horrors. As they pieced together the story, the full extent of the manor's dark history was revealed, filling them with a sense of dread and urgency. In the basement, they confronted the malevolent spirit responsible for the murders. Guided by the young girl's spirit, they performed a ritual to banish the evil entity. The air crackled with energy as the spirit resisted, manifesting as a dark, shadowy figure with glowing eyes. The friends chanted the incantation, their voices shaking but determined. The oppressive force intensified, making it difficult to breathe. Just as it seemed the spirit would overpower them, a bright light erupted, and the entity was vanquished. The basement fell silent, the air cleared, and a heavy weight lifted. With the ritual complete, the evil spirit was vanquished. Exhausted but relieved, the friends hurried out of the manor as dawn broke. The young girl's spirit appeared one last time, smiling gratefully before fading away, leaving the house finally at peace. The manor, bathed in the soft morning light, no longer looked menacing, but rather like a sad relic of the past. In the moonlit night, the abandoned Wraithwood Manor stands as a testament to forgotten secrets and whispered horrors. A group of friends, drawn by curiosity and a thirst for adventure, arrives at Wraithwood Manor, their hearts pounding with anticipation. With a sense of trepidation, the friends push open the rusted gates and step onto the overgrown path that leads to the mansion's imposing entrance. Inside the mansion, the friends are greeted by a musty smell that hangs heavy in the air as they explore the grand hallway, the portraits of the mansion's former inhabitants watching them with empty eyes. As they delve deeper into the mansion, the friends experience chilling encounters, objects shifting inexplicably, whispers that seem to come from nowhere, and cold spots that send shivers down their spines. In a forgotten corner of the mansion, the friends stumble upon a hidden study filled with ancient books and mysterious relics, their curiosity piqued by the secrets it holds. A sense of unease settles over the friends as they realize they are not alone in Wraithwood Manor, and that something sinister watches their every move from the darkness. With fear gripping their hearts, the friends try to leave the mansion, but find their path blocked by an invisible barrier, trapping them within its walls. In a terrifying moment, the friends come face to face with the vengeful spirit that haunts Wraithwood Manor, its spectral form twisted with rage as it seeks revenge on those who dare to intrude upon its domain. Armed with only their wits and determination, the friends battle against the vengeful spirit, their voices raised in a desperate bid to send it back to the darkness from whence it came. Just when all hope seems lost, a blinding light fills the mansion, banishing the vengeful spirit and illuminating the darkness with its brilliant glow. As dawn breaks, Wraithwood Manor falls silent once more, its haunting presence lifted by the bravery of the friends who dared to confront it. Though shaken by their ordeal, they emerge into the daylight knowing that they have faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. With Wraithwood Manor fading into the distance behind them, the friends walk away, their spirits lighter now that they have faced their fears and emerged victorious. But as they leave, they know that the memory of their harrowing ordeal will stay with them forever. In the heart of the forest, a solitary cabin stood amidst the looming trees. Its windows were dark, and the mist hung heavy in the air, veiling the secrets that lay within. A group of friends, seeking solace in nature, cautiously made their way towards the cabin. Their footsteps echoed through the silent forest, and the beams of their flashlights pierced the night. As they stepped inside, the friends were met with an oppressive silence. Shadows danced on the walls, and the air felt heavy with unseen eyes watching their every move. Within the cabin, ghostly figures drifted through the rooms, their ethereal forms bathed in an eerie glow. Their presence sent shivers down the spines of the friends, filling the space with an otherworldly chill. Amongst the dust and cobwebs, ancient artifacts lay scattered around the cabin. Each item seemed to whisper tales of a past long forgotten, adding to the sense of unease that permeated the air. A sense of dread settled over the friends as they felt the presence of something malevolent lurking in the shadows. The darkness seemed to pulse with a sinister energy, threatening to consume them whole. Outside the cabin, the forest teemed with twisted shapes and eerie sounds. The trees seemed to sway with a life of their own, whispering secrets that sent shivers down the spines of all who dared to listen. Panic set in as the friends attempted to flee the cabin, only to find themselves ensnared by an invisible force. It seemed as though the very air itself conspired to keep them trapped within its grasp. In a heart-stopping moment, the friends came face to face with a dark entity that materialized before them. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its presence filled the room with a suffocating darkness. Armed only with their courage, the friends battled against the dark entity that threatened to consume them. Their voices rang out in defiance as they fought to banish it from the cabin and free themselves from its grasp. Just when all seemed lost, a blinding light filled the cabin, dispelling the darkness and banishing the dark entity. The friends shielded their eyes, knowing that they had emerged victorious against the forces of evil. With the dark entity banished, the cabin fell silent once more. The friends emerged into the moonlit night, their hearts heavy but their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they had faced their fears and emerged victorious. As they walked away from the cabin, the friends knew that the memory of their encounter would stay with them forever. But they took comfort in the knowledge that they had confronted the darkness and emerged into the light, stronger for having faced their fears head-on. Mia steps off the bus, her breath misting in the crisp autumn air. Oakwood greets her with quaint cottages and winding streets adorned with colorful leaves. In the distance, the old Victorian house looms, its ornate facade partially obscured by overgrown ivy. Mia's curiosity is piqued as she makes her way towards the house, a sense of foreboding creeping over her. Mia approaches the Victorian house, its wooden porch creaking underfoot. The narrator describes the house's age-charmed stained glass windows, intricate woodwork, and a weathered brass knocker shaped like a lion's head. Mia hesitates before knocking, sensing a palpable stillness that hangs in the air like a veil. The heavy door swings open with a groan, revealing a dimly lit foyer adorned with antique furniture and faded tapestries. Mia steps inside, her footsteps echoing on the polished wooden floorboards. The narrator details the eerie silence that envelops her, broken only by the occasional creak of floorboards and distant rustling of leaves outside. Mia explores the house room by room, uncovering traces of its former inhabitants, a child's abandoned toy, a faded photograph on a dusty mantelpiece, and journals filled with cryptic entries. The narrator describes Mia's growing fascination and unease as she pieces together fragments of a tragic family history and the unexplained disappearance that shrouded the house in mystery. In an upstairs bedroom, Mia discovers an ornate mirror covered in a thin film of dust. As she approaches, the mirror's surface shimmers faintly, reflecting distorted images of the room. The narrator details Mia's growing unease as she notices subtle movements in the mirror, a shadowy figure that seems to flicker at the corner of her vision, its presence unsettling and inexplicable. As night falls, Mia returns to the mirror, determined to uncover its secrets. The narrator describes Mia's reflection behaving strangely, moving independently, its expression twisting into a sinister grin. Fear grips Mia as she realizes the mirror is a portal to a dark realm where the boundary between reality and the supernatural blurs. In a desperate bid to escape the mirror's grasp, Mia shatters its surface with a heavy object, unleashing a surge of paranormal energy. The narrator details Mia's frantic flight through the house, hallways twisting and distorting, furniture crashing, and unseen whispers echoing through the walls. Mia's heart pounds as she races towards the front door, the house itself seeming to resist her escape. At dawn, Mia emerges from the Victorian house, battered and breathless, but triumphant. The narrator reflects on Mia's journey, a harrowing exploration of the supernatural and a confrontation with personal fears. As Mia leaves Oakwood behind, the sun rises over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the quaint town and its mysterious Victorian house. The echoes of Mia's experience linger, a testament to the enduring allure and peril of uncovering hidden truths. 5 friends stood at the edge of Ravenwood Manor, its decaying structure looming ominously against the night sky. The air was thick with an eerie silence, only broken by the distant hoot of an owl. Jack, the boldest among them, dared everyone to spend the night in the haunted house. With nervous laughter and racing hearts, they accepted the challenge, armed with flashlights and sleeping bags. They had heard the tales of the manor's dark past, but their curiosity and desire for adventure outweighed their fear. The front door creaked loudly as they pushed it open, revealing a dark, musty hallway. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by the beams of their flashlights. The wallpaper was peeling, and cobwebs adorned the corners. The wooden floors groaned under their weight, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. They moved cautiously, every creak and whisper of the old house making their hearts pound harder. Despite their bravado, an oppressive sense of unease settled over them. The friends decided to split up to cover more ground. Jack and Emma explored the grand living room, where tattered furniture and a dusty chandelier hinted at past opulence. Sam and Lily found an old library, its shelves filled with ancient books and strange artifacts. Mike wandered into the kitchen, filled with rusty utensils and an old pantry. Unexplained noises echoed through the manor, raising the hair on the back of their necks. The sense of being watched grew stronger with each passing minute. Emma stumbled upon a hidden door behind a bookshelf in the library. With a cautious push, it opened to reveal a small, dark room filled with old photographs and a diary. The photographs depicted a once happy family, whose faces turned somber in each successive picture. The diary's pages detailed a family tragedy and an unsolved mystery, including entries about strange occurrences and ominous warnings. Emma called the others, and they gathered to read the chilling account, their fear growing with every word. As night fell, the manor came alive with supernatural activity. Doors slammed shut on their own, eerie whispers filled the air, and ghostly figures flitted at the edge of their vision. The temperature dropped suddenly, and their breath became visible in the freezing air. The friends huddled together, their fear growing as they realized they were not alone in the manor. Objects moved on their own, and faint footsteps echoed in the halls. Panic began to set in as the reality of their situation became undeniable. In a desperate bid for answers, the friends decided to hold a séance. They sat in a circle in the library, holding hands, and called out to the spirits of Ravenwood Manor. The room grew cold, and a ghostly presence began to materialize, revealing the manor's dark secrets. The candles they lit flickered violently, and the air buzzed with energy. They felt a heavy, oppressive force pressing down on them as they chanted, their voices trembling with fear. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and dread. A spectral figure of a young girl appeared before them, her face a mask of sorrow. She recounted the horrific events that led to her family's murder and her own untimely death. The friends listened in shock as she pleaded for their help to find peace and end the manor's curse. Her voice was soft and echoing, filled with pain and desperation. Tears streamed down her ghostly cheeks as she pointed towards the basement, indicating where the truth lay buried. The friends felt a mix of fear and compassion, determined to help her. Determined to help, the friends scoured the manor for more clues. They found hidden letters and a secret passage that led to the basement. In the dimly lit basement, they uncovered evidence of the family's tragic end, including old newspaper clippings, blood-stained clothing, and a locket with the girl's picture. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the oppressive weight of past horrors. As they pieced together the story, the full extent of the manor's dark history was revealed, filling them with a sense of dread and urgency. The basement was a grim repository of forgotten pain and suffering. In the basement, they confronted the malevolent spirit responsible for the murders. Guided by the young girl's spirit, they performed a ritual to banish the evil entity. The air crackled with energy as the spirit resisted, manifesting as a dark, shadowy figure with glowing eyes. The friends chanted the incantation, their voices shaking but determined. The oppressive force intensified, making it difficult to breathe. Just as it seemed the spirit would overpower them, a bright light erupted, and the entity was vanquished. The basement fell silent, the air cleared, and the heavy weight lifted. With the ritual complete, the evil spirit was vanquished. Exhausted but relieved, the friends hurried out of the manor as dawn broke. The young girl's spirit appeared one last time, smiling gratefully before fading away, leaving the house finally at peace. The manor, bathed in the soft morning light, no longer looked menacing, but rather like a sad relic of the past. The friends felt a profound sense of accomplishment and a deep bond from their shared ordeal. They walked away from the manor, feeling lighter and more connected than ever. Narrator: in the heart of the forest, there lies a secluded village, shrouded in mist, where the whispers of the unknown echo through the trees. Narrator: Emily, a weary traveler seeking refuge, arrives at the village as dusk descends, unaware of the darkness that awaits her. Narrator: she seeks shelter at the village inn, greeted by the innkeeper with a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. Narrator: that night, Emily is plagued by restless dreams, filled with fleeting glimpses of sinister figures lurking in the shadows. Narrator: curiosity drives Emily into the depths of the forest, where the trees seem to whisper ancient secrets and the shadows watch her every move. Narrator: amidst the trees, Emily discovers an abandoned cabin, its walls adorned with strange symbols and the air heavy with a sense of foreboding. Narrator: inside the cabin, Emily encounters a shadowy figure, its eyes gleaming with malevolence as it reaches out towards her. Narrator: with fear gripping her heart, Emily flees from the cabin, the shadows close behind her, their whispers growing louder with each step. Narrator: back at the inn, Emily discovers an ancient tome hidden away, its pages filled with dark incantations and tales of forbidden rituals. Narrator: armed with newfound knowledge, Emily confronts the villagers, demanding to know the truth behind the shadows that haunt their village. Narrator: in a final showdown, Emily stands against the shadows that threaten to consume the village, determined to banish them once and for all. Narrator: as dawn breaks over the village, the mist begins to dissipate, revealing a new day dawning and the shadows retreating back into the darkness from whence they came. Narrator: with her mission complete, Emily leaves the village behind, knowing that she has brought peace to its troubled souls. But as she walks away, she can't help but wonder what other horrors lie hidden in the mist, waiting to be discovered by the unwary traveler. The subway station yawned open like a gaping maw, its concrete steps leading down into the bowels of the city. Sophie hesitated at the entrance, the dim lights flickering overhead, casting uncertain shadows on the worn tiles of the platform below. The distant rumble of an approaching train echoed through the tunnels, sending a chill down her spine. Gripping the railing tightly, she descended into the murky depths, each step intensifying the sense of isolation and unease. Sophie reached the platform, just as the train screeched to a halt, its doors sliding open with a pneumatic hiss. She boarded cautiously, the interior bathed in harsh fluorescent light that seemed to strip away all warmth. The carriage was empty except for Sophie, who chose a seat near the center. As the train pulled away, the rhythmic clatter of wheels on tracks filled the air, punctuated only by the occasional crackle of the intercom. Sophie glanced around nervously, feeling a prickling sensation at the back of her neck. The train plunged into darkness as it entered a tunnel, the only light coming from occasional flickers that illuminated the interior in brief, unsettling flashes. Sophie's breath caught in her throat as she heard whispers, faint at first, then growing louder and more insistent. The voices seemed to come from all directions, their words indistinct yet filled with urgency. Sophie pressed her hands against her ears, trying to block out the eerie cacophony, but the voices persisted, echoing off the tunnel walls with haunting clarity. As the train emerged into another station, Sophie's eyes widened in alarm. The carriage was empty. She stood up quickly, scanning the compartment for any sign of the other passengers, but found none. The doors opened with a hiss, and Sophie stepped out onto the deserted platform. She glanced back at the empty train, a sense of foreboding creeping over her. Where had everyone gone? The station was eerily quiet, the air thick with an unsettling stillness. Sophie wandered through a labyrinthine corridor, the walls adorned with faded advertisements and graffiti that seemed to twist and distort in the dim light. Every turn led her deeper into the heart of the station, the echoes of her footsteps amplifying the silence. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of her eye, a shadow darting into an alcove ahead. Heart racing, Sophie cautiously approached, peering into the darkness, only to find it empty save for an oppressive silence. Sophie stumbled upon a forgotten chamber, its walls adorned with strange symbols and faded murals depicting scenes of forgotten rituals. The air was thick with an unfamiliar scent, sending a shiver down Sophie's spine. She approached a mural depicting a hooded figure surrounded by swirling darkness, studying it intently. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her, a cold breath on her neck. She spun around, but there was no one there, only the oppressive silence of the chamber closing in around her. Sophie turned and saw her own reflection in a cracked mirror, her eyes wide with terror. Behind her, footsteps echoed loudly, circling around her, yet no one was there. The whispers returned, louder and more insistent, filling the chamber with their haunting chorus. Sophie stumbled backwards, desperate to escape the oppressive presence that seemed to surround her on all sides. With adrenaline pumping, Sophie turned and ran through the twisting corridors, the whispers following her like a malevolent wind. The walls seemed to shift and change around her, disorienting her senses. Finally, she burst out into the main corridor, sprinting towards the station entrance. The whispers faded behind her as she emerged into the cool night air, gasping for breath. Sophie didn't look back as she hurried away from the subway station, leaving the haunting echoes of her ordeal behind. Sophie emerged onto the bustling city street, her heart still pounding from the ordeal underground. She glanced back at the subway entrance, half expecting to see shadows lurking within. But the station remained silent and still, its secrets hidden once more. With a shaky breath, Sophie continued down the street, haunted by the memory of whispers and shadows, knowing that some mysteries were never meant to be unraveled. This narrative takes Sophie through a series of chilling encounters in the depths of a subway station, exploring themes of isolation, mystery, and supernatural forces. Each scene is crafted to build suspense and unease, with visual prompts enhancing the eerie ambience and pivotal moments of the story.